Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to the very first episode of a segment I call the Gray Zone. Why the Gray Zone? Because not everything is black and white. This segment is going to be aired probably about once a month, and it's going to be hosted by myself and a gentleman known as Mr. Teddy Fresh. We're going to discuss topics of the day and reflect on the different and similar perspectives of blacks and whites in this country. And of course, we don't claim to speak for everyone of our race. We only wish to provide a different insight and experiences that we have and see if it doesn't change our perspectives on things. So with no further ado, please welcome Mr. Teddy Fresh.
Mr. Teddy Fresh, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's great to have you here. I've been looking forward to this episode, to have you on here and introduce you to my listeners and let them have a chance to get to know you. So let's jump right on top of it. For all those single women out there, they're going to be asking, that man, he sounds very suave and sophisticated. I wonder if he is single.
Well, ladies, I hate to disappoint you, but I am not.
You are not.
No. But I'm born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, 18 years. I decided I wanted a change of scenery, so I decided to join the Air Force. I told my mom, I said, you did what you needed to do, but it was time for me to become a man and do my own thing. So I joined the Air Force. Like when I got into the Air Force, a lot of people that I met joined because they wanted to see the world. I did not want to see the world. I was like, I said the hell. But
you
with
wanted
that.
to change the scenery.
I wanted to change the scenery, but I joined the military strictly to get my education GI Bill. That's why I joined. But I got into a career field where I was deployed most of the time of my career, and I ended up seeing the world. And it was a great experience. So I'm happy for that experience.
You know, I'm a big believer that, that everyone should either go to college or go into the military.
I agree.
And I don't necessarily believe people should go to college strictly to get an education for a particular job. I think that the experience that college offers them to be introduced to different cultures, different people, different ways of life, I think that is the experience that really enriches people's lives by going to college. And the military does the same thing
I agree. 100%.
Yeah, see, I was like you. I went in for the same reason. I went into the military for the GI Bill, for the education. But I also wanted to see the world. And so it was funny because I had seen people who joined the military and would never leave base. I was in Germany and they were afraid. I'm like, what are you afraid of? And yet they would never leave the base because they didn't, like you said, they didn't want to see the world and they were sticking to it. So
Yeah, it was kind of hard. Like when I got stationed in New Jersey, McGuire Air Force Base.
Yeah, it's a different world.
Yeah, because you got, Philadelphia and New York there. So it's like McGuire's out in the middle of nowhere. So it's like, yeah, you want to get out, you know what I mean? But
right.
but you like you said, you had individuals who did not want to get out. I'm like, man, the hell with that. I got to get out, you know what I mean? I got to see things and do things,
So when you were able to get out and see the world, how do you think that changed your perspective on things from being an 18-year-old young man in Michigan and the perspective that you had on life at that point, the experiences that you had in life? How do you think that helped or shaped or changed your viewpoints, by being able to see the rest of the world and different cultures and things of that nature?
Well, one thing is, being from Detroit, it was 90. When I grew up in the 90s, it was like 98.9%, black, African Americans. So it was almost like when I joined the military and I saw the war, I was like, oh, there's more people out here outside of black people. You know what I mean?
It's like being in Salt Lake and go, oh, there's more than just white people.
And the thing is, you see different people on TV and stuff, but you never see them out in the real world.
Right.
So when I was deployed to an island called Diego Garcia, which is in the middle of the Indian Ocean. It's a British island. It's owned by the British. And I was thinking to myself one night as I was sitting outside of the tent, I was like, damn, I never imagined I would be all the way on the other side of the world, ever in my lifetime. And I was 18 years old. So it was a culture shock. It was like there's more cultures out there. There's more people out there. It's not just, from my perspective as far as, being black. So it was definitely a culture shock, but I definitely think that experience helped me grow as an individual.
So you embrace that change
Yes.
rather than, and I think that's what, again, as I talked about on a previous podcast, that's what makes us grow as people and as individuals, is to embrace these changes rather than run from them and have fear of them. And we see a lot of that in this country today, where there's a lot of fear out there, and it comes from not knowing, and people have fear of those things that we don't know. And yet, if you open yourself up and embrace change, embrace the differences, it opens up all these, a whole new world for you, and your outlook on how things are.
Especially when it comes to traveling, like. Black people, a lot of black people are afraid to travel. A lot of it is due to propaganda, the media. But what's weird is, like, when I travel, white people don't give a damn. They traveling their asses off.
We go to places we're told not to go because we're too damn stupid to realize we're like, oh, we'll go to Turkey. No, there's war going on. Oh, well, who cares?
But yeah, so it's almost like and don't get me wrong, there's some white people who don't travel, but most of the time when you're traveling, yeah, you see white people, they do travel. They want to travel. And it's almost like, yeah, like you say, there's a lot of fear in the world, so it's almost like when it comes to black, especially when you come from a how can I put this? Disadvantaged economic environment, it's almost like, nope, don't do that. You better not do that. You're going to get kidnapped and blah, 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 shit like that. But like that shit ain't true. It's just like any place in America. Like there's certain places you don't want to go to. You know what I mean? There's certain areas you stay away from. Because a lot of these countries, they depend on tourism and shit. So they want people to come over there. They're not trying to fuck up their money. You know what I mean?
Well, here's what I think. It's like my best friend. Whenever we go out somewhere, he used to have a Honda Civic. And he never wanted to let people, he never wanted to do valet parking because he was always afraid somebody was going to steal something like his Madonna CDs or something from his car. And I go, or take his car for a joyride or something. I go, okay, if I'm doing valet parking, I don't give a damn about your Honda Civic. It's the guy who pulls up in the Maserati that I'm going to take for a joyride, or I'm going to look and see what he's got in there. Nobody cares about your Honda Civic. Well, the same thing with traveling. If you're poor, people ain't going to kidnap a poor person. they ain't looking.
Right.
I mean, like, dude, if you think you're getting money that someone's going to pay for me, you're going to be feeding me for a while.
Exactly.
So it's like, I'm going to become an expense real quick, so you're going to have to kill me because there ain't no money coming my way.
Right.
So in this country, he's not going to get, give it up. So, but you're absolutely right. And again, as I've stated many, 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 many times, anytime that we do anything or don't do something because of fear, we will always have regrets. And whether people ever admit it or not, not traveling out of fear, I can't imagine that you stay in the same place your whole life and not regret having seen some, other parts of the world when there are so many amazing places out there.
And I know, and another thing, Kurt, I want to bring this up too. There's different reasons why a lot of people don't travel. Some people are afraid of airplanes. Some people are afraid of boats. So I don't want to just come out and say, well, they don't travel because, not only the paranoia and the fear, but it's just like they have a real fear of like planes, boats and stuff like that. So it's a lot of things you have to, take into consideration.
Well, I know that there's ways to get over those fears. However, for those who, feel like, no, this is a fear I have and I'm not getting rid of it and I don't want to get rid of it because I think it keeps me safe, do like John Madden, take a damn bus.
Take bus everywhere. I have a friend. I'm not gonna say her name in Texas. She's afraid of planes. I actually told her. I said, listen, I will fly to you. We can get on a trip. We can fly, places together just to get you used to it. And she's not about that life.
Well, and that's again, they hold on to that fear because they think that fear is keeping them safe. And and facts be damned, that we know that air travel is much safer than traveling by vehicle. It don't care because I guess the logic or reasoning is that if I get a car accident, the chances of me surviving are much greater than if I fall out of the sky.
I used to be scared of planes. I took my first plane going into basic training. That was my first time I ever took a plane. It was just me and another bunch of group of kids going to basic training. They made me the team leader, so I had all our records and everything. I'm like, man, this a bitch, man. You know what I'm saying? Like putting all this on me, So, but that was my first time on a plane. So,
wow.
And I was like, well, I'm in the military. I'm gonna have to get over this real quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, because they might have you jumping out of one day. So.
Yeah, true.
So what I thought we'd do today is just as an introduction is kind of give. We'll come up with some different topics. We'll just speak on them briefly. We don't have to go into great detail. But what I want to do is, as I mentioned in the intro, this segment's going to be called the Gray Zone because not everything is black and white.
Right.
And so, I wanted to give different perspectives on things. And some of these are just going to be questions, so there's not really going to be a need for a perspective from both sides. But we can both chime in and how we feel about things, okay?
All right.
So we'll have questions here that are going to be a bit more controversial to the silly. So, okay?
Right.
So let's start off with this one. Why don't brothers like to camp?
Man, I don't know, man.
I
want to say maybe a fear of animals. Maybe a fear of animals, but I mean, it's one of those things where you actually should learn how to camp. I mean, because if shit hits the fan and, something happens in the world with no electronics and shit like that, and you have to, go back to the prehistoric age, you better know how to fucking survive out there.
Yeah, because those damn country boys, they know how to
they know how to survive. Yeah.
And so Hank Jr. says, so,
Now there's some country ass folks some
there
some
are,
brothers
yes, there
that,
are some.
that does camping and hunting and shit like that. But to be honest with you,
and for everybody out there, yes, these are generalizations. We realize they're generalizations. Generalizations usually are generalizations for a reason.
Right.
So,
right.
and there's some truth to them, and a great deal of truth. But of course, it doesn't apply to everybody. Just like you don't see many brothers on motorcycles either. But the brothers I do see on motorcycles are crazy motherfuckers. They will do shit that Evel Knievel wouldn't do. I swear to God, I've seen them do. I go, ever see a brother on a motorcycle? Don't mess with him because he'll do anything.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Like I don't like motorcycles because they're not comfortable for me from as far as my back goes. So.
Well, you're too damn big.
I'm
That's
too
why.
tall. Yeah.
Exactly. Andre the Giant. It's like, you need a special bike made for you, like Shaq or something.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't think Shaq rides a bike either. So
I think I did see him on a bike.
he would look like a kid on a little tricycle or a little, like a little starter bike with training wheels.
Yeah, he'd have to get a bike specially made for him.
Oh,
He's a big
yeah.
dude.
God damn, he's big. And funny. That man, he doesn't get enough credit for how funny he is. I swear to you, he's got good comedic timing.
Right.
And the little bit I've seen of him, he's a funny guy. But yeah, I've always noticed no matter how I've had so many friends that I've asked to go camping who are of African American descent, and I never had one of them say yes. Not even like, well, maybe. No, it was just no. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I was going to say the main reason, like I said earlier, maybe there's the fear animals. I don't know, coyotes and bears and shit.
Yeah, but you're big enough to fight off a bear.
Man, motherfucking bear break your neck. You know what I mean? You don't want to mess around with no bear.
All right, we'll go on to the next one then. Maybe we'll revisit this, and we'll probably get some feedback on people out there going, I like camping. So,
Right, exactly.
We'll see. I know I do have one friend. He'll go camping if it's in a camper. And I ain't talking about like some small camper. I'm talking about like those touring buses.
But yeah,
that's what I know. That ain't camping.
defeats the purpose, right?
Exactly. Not to him. He wants his TV. He wants his air conditioning. He's like, yeah, I'm not going out there.
Yeah, camping. You're supposed to get away from all that.
Yeah, he's bringing it with him. That's how he feels about it.
Hilarious.
All right, next question. Why do brothers love big butts?
I don't know. I mean, it just now. My tone has changed over the years. Like, I like a big butt, a nice round ass. It doesn't have to be ridiculously big because I don't like the fake,
the Kim Kardashian,
the jail shots kind of butts too. Number one, ladies, is fucking up your health. You don't need to be doing that
right,
shit anyway.
Exactly.
number two, like, if you really want a nice ass, go in the gym and build that muscle up.
Yep.
Do squats and lunges.
Well, you see all these fake ass bitches on there now who pretend that they've gone to the gym to get that butt. Mm-hmm. It's like, bitch, you did not get that butt from the gym. That's not how it works.
Yeah. They get the shots, and then what you'll see is on Instagram, you see them doing like, air squats or something like that.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, I'm sorry, that butt did not come from those air squats.
No, right. But no, it's just one of those things, man. Like, a lot of white guys like big breasts. Whether it's fake or real, like, a lot of brothers, they like asses, whether it's fake or real. But it's just one of those things, man. Like, I like me a nice round ass, nice and tight. It's just one of those things that I guess it's in your DNA. That's what I can say. It's in your DNA, and you like it. It's just like how girls like a guy with a nice shape. It's the same thing. You a man, you want to like nice. You want to have a girl with a nice ass, you want to be proud of that.
Right. Well, I think there's nice, and then there's like too nice.
Yeah, like I said, I don't like the huge asses. Like my ex-girlfriend, she had a nice big ass, but it fit her frame, and it was all natural.
Well, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna blame the brothers for this because, as we all know, the black race is the cooler race.
That's
and
fine.
white people try to emulate black people, and so all of a sudden now you have all these white guys who sit there who never liked big butts. Now all of a sudden, oh, I love big butts. I was like, okay, So even I know that's going to be controversial. People can go, oh, that's not how it happened. I always like big butts and whatever. Mm-hmm. It's like never stated it before, but all of a sudden now it's a thing. But
yeah, because it was a difference. Like if you look at the 80s, early 90s, white women had flat asses.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And then all of a sudden, when 2000s hit, I noticed it when I joined the military. All of a sudden, white girls had asses comparable to sisters. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Exactly. Because it was who came out with that song? I love big butts.
Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Yeah, Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Yeah.
He started it. It's his fault. So, brothers love big butts, but you don't like eating fish tacos, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Why is that?
Shit, I don't know, man. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. Well, like I said, it's not like I mentioned to you earlier off air. That's not necessarily true now. Like the younger generation, I want to say 25 and under, and I don't want to hear, motherfucker, I don't want to be, I'm not 25, blah, blah, blah. I still do it. Like, I get it, okay? Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I really don't know, man. It's just one of those things where, what I come up from an era, that's just one of the things you just didn't do, you know what I mean? Because it was almost to the point, man, if you handle your business, with your stroke game, you didn't really need to do that, you know what I mean?
Well, I will tell you this, that from a white perspective, white guys always pretend to be okay with it, and I think they're, for the most part they are, but it isn't like that's, they always say, women always sit there and going down on a man, they don't like, they hate it and stuff. Well, here's a shocker for you women. No matter what a guy tells you, he don't like going down on you either, because no matter what, it wears your damn tongue out. It's just a chore, It's never. I've never sat there and go, oh, this is fun.
I mean, yeah, you're doing it like the male doing it to the woman, the female doing it to the male. They doing it because they were trying to please the person they with. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean necessarily enjoy it. Now, there's some people who actually do enjoy that. You know what I mean? Me personally, it's all right. My girlfriend, she don't necessarily. Like with me and my girl, it doesn't have to be done. she want the dick.
Right. and that's the kind you should find. One who wants the dick. Because I'm like, a tongue can't make up for the dick. At least I would hope not.
Right.
But oh, that brings us to the crow bonerator. So.
Oh, but like I was telling you earlier, Kurt, off air, this new generation, they on a whole nother level though. They beyond licking pussy. They about licking ass now.
Yeah. You better make sure that ends really clean.
Hey man, I mean, these young generation, man, like they don't care. And it's like the girls are like, egging these guys on to do it. Matter of fact, here's a real quick story, Kurt. My ex-girlfriend, when I was in Air Force, she told me, she was going to break up with her boyfriend. Now, she said, this is what she told me. I'm not going to say her name. She told me that her boyfriend had a little dick and it wasn't satisfying her. Whatever. She said she was sitting on the couch. They were sitting on the couch. She was getting ready to break up with him. And he said he started, kissing on her, going down on her. She told me that he pinned her legs back, and he was going down on her. But then she said he kept pinning her legs back, like her legs kept getting pinned back. And then all of a sudden, he licked her ass. And she was like, oh, my God, that was like the greatest feeling ever. So she said she stayed with the guy an extra 6 months because the guy was licking her ass. I was like, whatever floats your boat, you know what I mean?
That's odd because my understanding is women don't have prostates, and so they wouldn't have the same sensation or feeling that men have, and that's why, like, straight guys are scared shitless of having their ass eaten out or even getting anything near there because they're afraid they're going to enjoy it and then they're going to want more.
And I was going to say, that ain't true no more. Straight guys be getting their ass licked
too. Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things I love about this younger generation. It's like they are fearless. And not only that, they challenge every fucking thing. And I love that they challenge things. They don't just buy into the bullshit that my generation bought into. It's like someone told you something, and if they were of any type of authority, then you were supposed to believe that. This generation's like bullshit. They're like Missouri. It's like, show me,
right,
and prove it to them. And I like that about them. And I like the fact that they are willing to try different things and cross those boundaries that were unheard of back in our day.
And the younger generation, they look at what's best for them. Like a lot of our generation, like our parents and grandparents, they were loyal to like different companies and brands and shit. And then the new generation, like, why am I gonna be loyal to them? What the fuck have they done for me?
Right, exactly. And it's funny because that has changed in this country. There are other countries out there like Finland, for instance. The Finnish people are extremely loyal to their brands, but then their companies are run differently. Those companies take care of their people, and here, that hasn't happened for decades and decades, and so it all comes down to you make a good product for us, I'll be loyal as long as you keep making good products, and if you don't, I'll switch over in a heartbeat. Because you got to look out for yourself, and because corporations aren't looking out for us.
They're looking out for them. They want that dollar.
All right, let's move on to another topic. Let's do something a little bit serious because, like I said, I want to mix these up a little bit. I'm sure you heard about Justin Trudeau and the flack that he got for doing blackface several years ago, and he's not the only one. There's been several people who've done this throughout the years in the past. What is your take on it?
My take on it is, number one, blackface. It was it was makeup used by non-black performers to represent, a black person. And it was a pretty racial stereotype as far as the happy-go-lucky, darky black person on a plantation or the Dan to 5 coon.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a lot of back in the day. They had a lot of blackface and minstrel shows. And pretty much it was showing how like stupid and dumb how black people are. So yeah, it's pretty offensive and pretty disrespectful, and I'm sure he known that, and he done it anyway. But yeah, it's very unfortunate that the situation happens. But some people are just ignorant, ignorant to the fact, or if they're not ignorant to the fact, they just being insensitive.
Okay, so and that's a good point. I'll tell you from my perspective, okay? One thing I've noticed, because I have friends all over the world,
Mm-hmm.
and there are things that these these people from different countries will say and do, and that we would consider to be racist in this country. They don't consider it racist because they actually love black people. They love the culture. They love everything about them, and they don't. And they're attempting to emulate black people, and so I've heard. I mean, it's funny, I guess, to me, but when you hear a Taiwanese guy say "nigga," and he's doing it in a funny way, but but in a in a positive way. Like he doesn't because he doesn't have the intent to be racist. He doesn't, and I believe intent is everything.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't. Asian people haven't gone through, what we've gone through in this country with racism, and so he doesn't have that to correlate with what he's saying or doing. And I think that's the same way with Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau is Canadian. They didn't. While I'm sure he was very much aware of slavery and the racism that goes on in America. It wasn't part of his upbringing. It wasn't part of him to be racist or something. And so I don't think that the intent was there to be racist, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes sense. The intent probably wasn't there, but it's like, motherfucker, you know what that represents. It represented bigotry and shit like that. You know what I mean?
See, again, I'll say for me, I think it's intent in how he portrayed the black, the person that he was pretending to be. For instance, we watch Robert Downey Jr. and doing blackface, and that was perfectly fine. In fact, everybody was fine with it.
Who said they was fine with it?
Everybody. What was who else was in that movie? It was Thunder something or another with
I know what movie you're talking about. Yeah, but they was military soldiers.
Yeah, and everybody, including the black actors that were on there, were perfectly fine with it, and because it was done with the right intent. And it's just like you like Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall when they do white people, and and they're making fun of white people, but it's okay. It's okay, And again, I think if the intent is to be humorous, but not at the expense of whoever it is you're portraying, like saying all white people are this or all black people are this, and trying to portray them in a stupid manner or something, or belittle that race, then I think it could be. It could be fine.
That could be true, but some black people they ain't buying that shit.
Yeah, I know, but just like there are black people out there, just like certain white people. No matter what you do, they're always going to be pissed off, and they're always going to be outraged. They're always going to look for something to be offended by. Like if I ever saw you do a white guy, and we see this all the time. Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock. Whenever they do a white person. Well, hello there, sir. How you doing? I'm sorry, we don't all speak that way, and we all know that. But it's funny because white guys are always portrayed as these nerds. Mm-hmm. We know that it's not true, and that's why it's okay, because it is funny, because we know it's not true. And yet, I think, again, I understand we haven't gone through what black people have gone through. We haven't been the oppressed. And so there is some sensitivity that should be taken there that doesn't necessarily need to be taken on the white side.
It's just I get what you're saying, but it's just a slippery slope. It's
Yeah.
very, very, very gray.
I think it is very gray. I think it can be done like with Robert Downey Jr., but I think it needs to be done with taste, and it needs to be. I don't think everybody should be doing it, or hardly anybody. But that goes for doing whiteface as well. I don't think everybody should sit there, because there are people who would obviously have the intent to be insulting, and but I never felt that with Eddie Murphy or Arsenio Hall when they would do it. Right. I thought it was funny as shit. I mean, it was hilarious, and to me it just showed just how talented someone like Eddie Murphy was, and still is, of course. But so I think for me it just comes down to intent. But then again, not being black, it would be hard for me to find it as offensive as someone who obviously is black, because I don't experience the racism, the systemic racism that you have to deal with on a daily basis, and So it is a different perspective.
You know how it is. Like, you got a good job. You ain't experienced no racism, man.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You know how some people are, man.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think there's some good messages out there. I think where we shoot ourselves in the foot is how we deliver those messages sometimes on both sides. And so while we may, like Black Lives Matter, I don't think the message. Again, I don't care how you send the message out. There are going to be white people out there who aren't going to, they're going to be offended no matter how you paint that message. They're going to find something to be offended about. They're going to, just like, let's talk about Colin Kaepernick for an instance. Colin Kaepernick got down on his knee because he was bringing to light the police brutality and the unfairness and the killings of innocent black people by police officers. I don't care. To this day, there are still people on Facebook and other social medias platforms who are sitting there talking about how disrespectful it was to the flag, how disrespectful it is to to veterans, and it's like, motherfucker, how many times do we have to tell you it has nothing to do with veterans, the American flag, or anything else except police brutality on black people?
And you know what's funny, Kurt? Colin Kaepernick had been doing that for a while. It was just that it got caught on camera that
right.
one time. And not only that, but Colin Kaepernick actually talked to a Navy SEAL. I forget his name.
Right, I know. You're right. He absolutely did.
He asked him, he said, it would be less disrespectful if you took a knee. So that's why Colin Kaepernick, decided to take a knee. Because
right.
after talking with this veteran, he said, if you take a knee, it would be less disrespectful.
And if I remember correctly, Tim Tebow took a knee for something that
religion. Yeah,
but it wasn't just for. I thought there was something else too.
No, it was literally like it was like a pose every time he made like a good play or a touchdown.
Yeah.
And I think since he is religious, it got tied to religion.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's because that's what
and
I
know that's a different. But I thought he was actually taking a knee for something else at one point to take a stand against something. Again, that's just conjecture because I don't have the facts. So
right.
So I might be completely wrong on that.
Well, it says Tim Tebow says his kneeling was all about prayer and reflection. That's from USA Today.
Okay.
When they interviewed Tim Tebow.
All right, then that's what we'll go with.
Yep.
If that's what he said, well, we'll take the man at his word.
Yep.
So while we're on Colin Kaepernick, let's talk about the NFL.
Do we got to, man?
Well, I mean, here's how bad it's gotten. I used to be just like you. I used to be one of those guys who I watch all sports except for hockey because hockey bores the shit out of me. And I don't even when they put that little thing to follow the puck around.
People hated it. Hockey purists hated that.
I hate it regardless with it or without it, so I don't watch it. And again, it's mostly being the fact that even though I was born up north, I never played, and I moved down here when I was a kid, so we didn't have hockey in Florida at the time. So, now you can there's actually places you can go play hockey.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. See, I might have liked it if I actually played it because it looked like it'd be fun to knock people over.
Well, it's I know, but it's actually it's a game of skill. You know what I mean? I actually.
Oh yeah.
I actually like watching hockey. It's like I said, it's a game of skill. Being from Detroit, which is considered as hockey town. I mean, it hasn't been hockey town, lately because our team has sucked. But I know when I was in elementary school, we used to play floor hockey, and I had because I couldn't skate worth a damn, so floor hockey was like perfect for me.
See, I don't like anything I love sports. I love playing sports. Anything that puts something under my feet other than shoes, I hated it. Mm-hmm. Like I've learned how to play. I guess what you call it, field hockey or whatever. I mean, not field hockey, but you had those. What the hell were they? Were not. God, I'm losing my thoughts.
You ain't talking about rollerblades.
Yeah, rollerblades.
Yeah.
I had those on, and I got pretty proficient at it. I still hated it because my friend taught me how to do it. He's like, "See, isn't that fun?" I go, "No, I still don't like it. It's still boring to me, and I don't want to do it."
Right.
I never was good at surfing. I was never good at skateboarding or roller skating. Never liked those things. I like my feet on the ground, so I'll do any of that stuff.
Yeah, I I don't like volleyball, but I like watching volleyball.
Oh, I love volleyball.
Yeah.
Damn, you're so damn tall. How could you not? You just stand there, and put your hands up.
I just don't enjoy it. But I can watch it though. I can definitely watch it, but I do not like playing volleyball. But yeah, getting back with the NFL, it's just,
Yes.
my team is the Cowboys. They started off hot this year, 3-0. And people was like, oh, they didn't play nobody. They played Washington, Miami, and the Giants, who, they're cream puff team, blah, blah. I look at it like, they're an NFL team. You beat who's on your schedule. But then they lost the last 3 games to Green Bay, the Saints, and then the lonely Jets. The Jets were 0-4, and they beat them. So it gets to the point where it's like, I know people go out and they cheer for their team every year, but I'm getting to the point now. Jay's like, if the team, is not playing to a championship caliber level, I'm not wasting my time watching these assholes. I'm just not.
Yeah. Well, and that was the point I was getting to, is that I used to watch sports as much as you did, and then one day I don't want to watch anymore. And I think it was after the 49ers just went downhill. And and it's funny, you and I are friends, and you're a Cowboys fan, and I'm a 49ers fan. And, of course, I hadn't had anything to cheer about until today when you told me that the 49ers are 6-0. I was like, they are? That's how much I've been out of the loop.
Right,
I didn't even know the team that I love is 6-0.
Yeah, because the last couple of years, the 49ers have been decimated with injuries. So that's why they've had bad records. But so far, they've been pretty healthy this year, and they actually got a legit quarterback. They got Jimmy G from the New England Patriots, Jimmy Garoppolo. And so, yeah, they got a pretty good team. They drafted well. It's just they've been hit with injuries the last few years.
Well, here's the thing. Now that you told me they were 6-0, there would have been that part of me that would have said, oh, I'll start watching. Because like you said, I don't want to watch them if they're not winning. It's like if they're not putting together a team. Because, especially when you have 2 dynasties like the 49ers and the Cowboys, there's no reason for these guys to go through these long extended periods of not at least being contenders. And so, to me, the owners are sitting there being cheap or whatever they're doing, and maybe I'm completely wrong on this, and I don't like Jerry Jones, so fuck him anyway. But it's like, you have the ability to to keep this team going, and we've seen this throughout the years, not just in NFL, but also in like the NBA or even in Major League Baseball, where you have these teams that could go on and win championship after championship, and they just get destroyed. They'll sell off the best players, and you go, what the hell are you doing? Why would you do that when I look back at the Cincinnati Reds back in 1975 and 76 when they won World Series back to back, and then they started selling their best players off. And like, why are you doing that? You could win the World Series probably 3 out of 5 more times, and have this dynasty. Instead, you get rid of the best players.
Yeah, the Reds were good back then too.
Yeah, they were
really good.
The Big Red Machine was amazing. Seriously.
Yeah, the Cowboys, like the last 3 games, they just lack of execution, man. They've come out flat. Like the last 3 games, they haven't scored any points in the first half. Maybe like 3 or 6 points. It's just been pathetic. Like, this is a professional team. Like, come on, man. You can't come out flat, every single game, and then expect in the second half to wake up and then you done buried yourself in this hole. Now you're trying to come back. It's like, man, I'm tired of watching this shit, man. Like, when people say, well, you're not a real fan, like, no, fuck you. You not a real fan for the simple fact that you supporting this shit. You know what I mean? Like, these owners.
You're supporting mediocrity.
Yeah, you're supporting mediocrity. These owners, all they care about is the mighty dollar. You stop going to the games, that'll wake their ass up. Because these owners, you got to understand, they're billionaires and they have fucking egos.
Right.
So the only thing.
Especially Jones.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing that's going to hurt Jones is he started losing money from the Cowboys. So yeah, it's just ridiculous. I'm just like they come on, they actually play tonight. And I'm not wasting my time watching. I'm gonna be productive.
We're gonna play a video game.
Nah, I probably won't do that.
Well, all right, so let's go to video games now. This is something I think that both whites and blacks, especially, and the
video games is universal.
Yeah, I think that we see guys who are in their 30s, 40s, 50s even playing video games still, because there's that part of us that's always wants to be a kid, and there's some video games out there that are unbelievable. I mean, we've come a long way from back in the day of the Tecmo Bowl. Yeah,
and I believe video games get a bad rap, but I my personal opinion, I believe it helps with your hand-eye coordination. You know what I mean? It keeps your brain fresh. It keeps it thinking. Like I play a game currently called Neo, which is a samurai game. It's a dark fantasy kind of samurai game, and it's pretty difficult. So it's not one of those games where you can go in and just mash the button because the game will make you pay for it. You actually have to concentrate on getting certain weapons, certain armors, and certain skills, whether it's magic skills and ninjutsu skills. So me and my buddy, we've been playing that game for the last 2 years now, and it's a pretty difficult game. It's like a game that's pretty popular with the hardcore crowd, like Dark Souls series. So it's like that. It's a pretty hardcore game. It won't be a big game because a lot of kids these days, they like easy games. They like things to be real easy. So it's a certain type of niche crowd who like these kind of games. They call them mastercore games. You know what I mean? 'Cause they're pretty difficult.
And I look at video games like this. You know, like you said, a lot of people think it's a waste of time. Look, it's a form of entertainment.
Right, just like anything else.
Right, and I think like this. I think compare it to pot. You can have people who can smoke pot and be fine. Then you have potheads who have to do it every day, all day long. Well, the same thing with video games. You have people who play video games, enjoy it, and be entertained by it, and then go on with their lives and still work and have successful lives, you know, with successful relationships and stuff. And then you have those video gamers who never get off the couch, live in their mother's basement, and 44 years old, and you know, and that's all they do.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't sit there and lump everybody into this one category that if you're 40 years old and still playing a video game, that person's a loser, because the chances are they're not.
It's just like anything, moderation. Like
right.
I like to play video games. I like to work out. You know, I like to eat pizza. You know, you just got to do everything in moderation. You just can't go full tilt with it. You know what I mean? So it's just moderation.
I love how you're just leading me into the next topic of Popeye's spicy chicken.
Oh, here we go. That shit is embarrassing, man.
Why? anything that will take money out of Chick-fil-A's pocket is good by me. That's what I say.
But like from a black man's point of view, is like the way some black people are acting about that damn chicken sandwich. That shit is just embarrassing to me, man.
All right, so we all know the stereotype about black people liking fried chicken and watermelon.
Mm-hmm.
First off, when did that become a bad thing?
I was gonna say it's not a bad thing. I've been to expensive restaurants eating like nasty ass caviar and shit like that, and it's almost like one of them things where it's it's like yeah, niggers, we in this restaurant and you can't come to this restaurant. Like I don't want to eat that nasty shit anyway.
It's like you keep that nasty. You convince yourself that shit tastes good, you know?
Right. I just don't like the fact the way some black people were acting, around that damn chicken sandwich. It's like, really, man? Like, I understand. I like chicken too, but some of these people acted like a damn fool, though.
Well,
man.
see, and that's the thing. And here's where the stereotype it becomes a negative, because white people can act like the same fool, but there's no negative connotation about them, loving that sandwich too. But if a black person does, then there's like, oh, look at that. That's so stereotypical. See,
but I get what you're saying. But you have people fighting over this sandwich, like motherfuckers robbing the Popeyes trying to get this sandwich. Like, it's like, really? Like, see, you ain't see that. No, you ain't see the fighting or the robbing. People.
Oh my god.
That shit, like I said, from a black person, I'm not trying to be like uppity nigga and shit. This shit it's just embarrassing, man. Like, come on, dude. Like, robbing.
All right, so here's a question too. So with social media the way it is, and everybody's got fucking camera phones nowadays. Nobody wants to sit there and help out anyone. Like, somebody could be choking to death, and everybody will have their cameras out watching the guy choke to death. Nobody will give him the Heimlich maneuver because they're too busy videoing that shit.
They probably don't even know how to do the Heimlich
right,
maneuver.
Exactly. So what do you think about these, like, this kind of shit with people fighting in fast food restaurants over chicken? I mean, do you think part of that is because they want to get video, they want to go viral, they want to become like what's that world?
Man, to be honest with you, I just think them motherfuckers just crazy, man. It's like in this
they're
day,
hungry.
Yeah, it's like this day and age, they always want to diagnose every little thing. Like, sometimes people just crazy to the motherfucker. You know what I mean? Let's get back to that. It ain't little Timmy and them because video games or he wasn't getting girls and stuff. Like, no, motherfucker just crazy. Can we get back to that? Some people are just crazy.
That's very true. All right, so let's go to, let's see here. Let's go to women. The pros and cons of women. Now, remember, this doesn't get edited, so choose your words carefully.
Dun dun dun.
First off, what's the pros of women?
Pros of women.
And don't say because they cook, they clean.
Cook, clean.
I'm just telling you now.
They suck your dick real good. Pussy be real good and nice and wet. No, I'm just joking. Me personally, I love women. I love the smell of women. You know, I like the different perspective when you're talking to them. You know, talking to them about different subjects. You know, the pros, like a lot of women are very nurturing, very caring. The cons, I would say, sometimes they get on your nerves. They annoy you. You know what I mean? you know, like I'm trying to think. One of the comedians said he want food, sex, and silence. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And they're probably thinking like, this motherfucker's chauvinistic. No, I ain't chauvinistic, but I'm just saying. You know, a lot of men, you know, want that. You know.
Well, and I don't think it's just. I think it's most men,
Yeah.
but most men don't have the balls to say
Just say it,
You
right?
know,
Like I'm gonna say it. I don't give a damn.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
if you don't like it, hey, that's your problem. You know.
And it's the truth, and you know, but women want to change men all the time. They want to sit there and go, you know, and make
And
them
it
into
always
some-
fails.
It always fails. And now they might get the man to fall in line because they neutered their man and put his balls up on top of the refrigerator in a fucking pickle jar or something. But you know, he's no longer the man that he was when you met him.
With that being said, Kurt, a lot of those men, they're just happy to be with women. Like they never
Yeah,
never been
exactly.
with women before, so they like, I got to do what she says because I don't want to lose the sex. You know, she uses sex as a weapon to these certain type of guys, and those kind of guys are like, you know, beta males. You know what I mean?
Right.
They don't, like you said, they don't put their foot down. They're not going to speak their mind. Like, fuck that. I'm speaking my mind. If you know, so either you like it or you don't like
Well,
it.
see, that's where straight guys, you know, I feel bad for them because they want to get laid. So they'll sit there and say, okay, I don't want to start a fight because if I start a fight, I'm not getting laid because a woman can, you know, she'll hold off sex, you know, from having sex with her man until she gets her way. And I know women are going to be pissed off going, I don't do that. There's a lot of you out there who do, and you know you do. And you can sit there and chuckle underneath your breath and know that you're doing it too.
Absolutely.
Because you will do it until you get your way.
Mhm.
Not all women. Some women use, you know, the fact that they're right about something and come from a good position. A lot of women do.
Yeah,
So-
like I don't play that shit. Like, but to be honest with you, Kurt, in my experience, I've never had that done to me because the women I've been with, they love sex. Like my current girlfriend and my last two exes. So it was almost like, put it like this, Kurt. It was almost like I really don't have to initiate it. You know what I mean? Like they were the ones who initiated. So
Well, that's the kind of woman you need. Because I was going to say, for gay guys, they have it made because gay guys love sex because they're guys. They're both guys, and guys love sex. So even if they're pissed off at each other, again, I'm generalizing, but if they're pissed off at each other, they'll still have sex. It might be angry sex, but they're still going to have sex, and so they don't hold sex from each other. And so, you know, they don't have to worry about speaking the truth and doing what, you know, and giving their viewpoints and getting their partner pissed off because they're like, it's okay, we'll still have sex regardless of whether we are mad or not. They're still going to do it. Where, you know, men and women, the man knows, go ahead, keep trying to win that war and see what happens.
yeah. Now here's the thing. If a woman is fine, men will put up with a lot more BS. But if she's like average, they're not putting up with that BS. Now me for example, even if you're fine, I'm not putting up with your BS. I'm just not. I'm like I don't have time for that shit. You know, if you want to, you know, act crazy or try to, you know, withhold sex, whatever. I'm like, you know, that's cool. Hey, do you? But I'm moving on. You know what I'm saying? Like I just don't play that shit. I'm too old for that shit now, man.
Okay, so you realize if there are any women listeners out there and their man's not putting up with their BS, they're going, wait a minute, you saying I'm not fine?
Hey man, that's on them, man.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, I know that you've got to get going here. I had some more topics. We'll save those because what I want to do is I'd like to make this a monthly segment, and then again, as our listenership grows, if they have, you know, if you guys out there have any topics you'd like for us to talk about, you know, let us know, and we'll be happy to entertain those thoughts and ideas and those suggestions. So we'll call it a day for today, and we'll save some of these other topics for later, and we'll go from there.
I was going to say, I appreciate you having me on, Mr. Kurt Powers, a.k.a. KP. So I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much, brother.
My pleasure. And I knew this was going to be fun because you and I, we have a good dynamic that goes on between us that that works. And so I knew you'd be a great guest, and I'm looking forward to having you back on again for the segment called The Gray Zone.
Likewise.
So guys, that'll do it for today. I want to again thank you, Mr. Teddy Fresh, for being my guest today. And until next time, remember to subscribe so that way you don't ever miss any of the Gray Zone segments or any other episodes that we have here on the Powers Project. And until next time, you guys take care, and we'll see you again.
Peace.
Peace.
The Powers Project.
Project.